Sunday morning were rare in the John household, not because of the sun, but because Jungkook was home. He usually spent his weekends at meetings, the gym, or in his studies, buried under files that seems more important than sleep. But today he was there, sitting on the couch, working on his laptop in that calm, unreadable way that made the whole house go silent. You stood near the dining table, wiping your hands on your apron. It wasn't much, but you had made a warm lunch, his favorite, the ones he rarely had time for. Lunch is ready. Would you like to have it? I made something light since you don't like heavy food in the midday. He didn't look up right away, just a small hum left his lips. No, tell Mrs. Lee I will eat later. You go rest. The words weren't hers. He never yelled, he never insulted. He said it so casually, like every other day, but somehow today it stung more. Okay. You forced a small nod and turned around quickly before he could see the look in your eyes. A few seconds later, his voice came again, quieter this time. Did you eat? You froze for a moment, surprised he even asked. Not yet, I will eat with Lily. He nodded slightly, still not meeting your eyes. Good, you didn't skip meals. You gave a small smile, that kind that didn't reach your eyes. I don't. Only when someone makes me lose my appetite. His eyes lifted at that. A faint flicker of guilt crossed his face, but he quickly masked it. You shouldn't take things personally, I'm just busy. You sighed softly. I know, you're always busy, Jungkook. He didn't reply, just leaned back on the couch, staring at the floor for a brief second. It looked like he wanted to say something else, but the words never came. They rarely did. You broke the silence first, your tone lighter this time. At least it's Sunday. Lily will be happy you are home. That made him look up. A small, almost invisible smile touched his lips. She's awake? There, sitting on the floor with her coloring book. I was just about to feed her. You pointed towards the open area where her daughter was sprawled on the floor, focused on her drawing. Let her be. She hates being interrupted when she is drawing. You whispered yourself. Yes, he is exactly like you. As you passed by, you cast a faint reflection of him looking up from the corner of your eye. Just a glance, but you didn't turn back. You headed towards the open living area where a little daughter sprawled on the floor, her coloring book spread wide, crayons scattered everywhere. Her little brows were focused. Lily looked up at you with her bright eyes smiling wide. Mama, look, I made a blue sun. You chuckled softly, kneeling beside her. A blue sun? Someone is being creative today. She giggled and went back to coloring. You turned to the maid standing nearby. Mrs. Lee, please serve a breakfast here. I will eat with Lily today. The maid nodded and she worked quickly. After a few minutes, she came to handing you a plate. Here, ma'am. You smiled gratefully and sat beside your daughter. Come on, my love, time to eat. No, Mama, I will eat later. You smiled patiently. Lily, baby, come on, eat a little. You will feel tired if you don't. But I am busy coloring, Mama. Sweetheart, eat first, then we will finish the drawing, okay? Or do you want me to feed you like a baby? She laughed, shaking her head. No, Mama, please. I will eat later. I need to finish this. But your tummy needs breakfast to make pretty drawings. Come on, just a few bites. I said later, Mama, please. She mumbled, eyes fixed on her coloring book. You sighed softly, but didn't give up. You knew your daughter. She got cranky when she was hungry, even if she didn't admit it. But sweetheart, the food will get cold. You have to eat this fresh food to be the strong girl. And see, Mama made your favorite rice. She laughed dramatically, clearly mimicking someone. You scooped a little and brought it to her lips, making a playful face. Alright, just few bites. Only for Mama. Okay, but only if you feed me slowly. And when I say stop, you stop. Deal. A big gulp bite for my Lily bear. She tried to hide her smile, but finally opened her mouth. That's my good girl. You continued softly, feeding her small bites between her coloring, watching her little mouth puff as she chewed. Across the hall, Jungkook was still on the couch, but every few seconds, his eyes flickered towards the two of you, quite thoughtful. You laughed softly when Lily tried to feed you a tiny piece, her fingers brushing hers. Mama, you eat too. You will get big. You smiled at her sweetness, leaning in to take a bite. She was focused, holding her crayon, her tongue poking out in concentration as she colored. Her mood seemed to lift a little until she suddenly stopped staring down at the page. The blue crayon she had used had streaked across the sun. Oh no, I used the wrong color. Her tiny voice was full of panic. She stared at her picture, a bluebird instead of yellow, and her lips trembled. It's okay, love. It still looks beautiful. You reached out, brushing her hair gently. No, it's not. You don't understand anything. She grabbed the eraser and tried to fix it, but the color only smudged worse. It's ugly now. I ruined it. Hey, it's okay, baby. You can make another one. It still looks beautiful. But she was already frustrated. Tears gathered in her eyes as she pouted, slamming the crayon down. You blinked in surprise, lowering the spoon. Lily, before you could say more, she glared at you, her tiny brows furrowed. No, you made me distracted. You always do this, useless. Can't you see I'm busy? Your hand holding a spoonful of food froze midair. The word useless echoed in your ears. You stared at her, this small, trembling version of the man sitting just a few feet away. The room went silent. Even the maid stopped moving. You didn't raise your voice. You just set the spoon down slowly, your lips trembling with hurt. You tried to hide your voice, barely a whisper. Finish your food when you want, okay? Mama won't bother you anymore. You stood up, forcing a calm smile, and walked to your room, the sound of your soft footsteps fading down the hall. Lily blinked confusion, washing over her small face. She didn't understand what she had done. She was just repeating something she had once heard from the only man she adored as much as you, her father. Jungkook, still sitting silently on the couch, had heard everything. His hand paused over the keyboard, jaw tightening, the faint sound of your retreat echoing in his mind. For the first time in a long while, John Jungkook's cold composure cracked because now he realized the little girl had learned those words from him. Lily sat still in her place, staring at the plate you left behind. The bright blue sun on her paper suddenly didn't look so nice anymore. She looked up when she heard footsteps, slowly, heavy ones. Jungkook came to her, his usual intimidating aura softened just a little. He crouched down, sitting beside her. Lily. She looked up quickly, trying to act normal, though her lips trembled. You shouted at Mama? Her small shoulders stiffened. She made me mess up my drawing. So you shouted. She blinked rapidly, not used to his tone. It wasn't loud, it was worse, disappointed. But you say that too when Mama told you to eat. She mumbled innocently. That hit harder than he expected. Jungkook's throat tightened. He looked away for a moment, his eyes dark, guilty. And that was wrong. You shouldn't repeat that, okay? Lily frowned. But you are not wrong, Appa. Jungkook sighed softly, brushing a hand through her hair. No, sweetheart, I was. She blinked, confused. You were? He nodded slowly. Your mother does everything for us. You hurt her feelings. Lily's eyes widened. Mama got sad. Very. Her lower lip trembled. I didn't mean to. Then go tell her. She looked up nervously. Will she be angry? Jungkook's lip curved slightly, just a ghost of a smile. Your mama doesn't know how to stay angry, especially not at you. Lily stood up slowly, clutching her little teddy bear. Her tiny feet patted softly down the hall toward your room. Jungkook stayed behind, his eyes following her small, fading figure. As Lily reached your door, she knocked lightly, her voice tentative. Mama, I'm sorry. There was no answer. She tried again, a little louder. Mama, please come out. Still nothing. The room remained shut, the door unmoved, your silence speaking louder than words ever could. Jungkook, unable to stop himself, walked closer. He glanced at the closed door, then down at his daughter's anxious little face. Appa, Mama is not talking. Jungkook's chest tightened. He knelt, pulling her close with one arm. With another, he knocked firmly on your door. Payan, it's me. Please, can you come out? He signed, jaw tightened, running a hand over his face. The stubborn silence you were holding only deepened the pit in his chest. He turned to Lily, picking her up gently. It's okay, sweetie. Don't cry. Mama might be in the washroom. When she comes out, we will talk to her, okay? Okay. Lily nodded weakly, clinching to his shoulder. Her teddy forgotten on the floor at your door. Jungkook pressed a kiss to her hair, his voice barely a whisper. Good girl. The two of them left, leaving the closed door between you and the world outside, a silent tension that pressed heavily in the air. Jungkook's heart ached, but he kept his focus on Lily, determined not to let her feel the weight of his silent protest. The silence of your room was heavy, thick enough. You lay on your side, eyes fixed on the wedding canvas hanging on the opposite wall. The two smiling faces in that photograph looked like strangers now. His hand rested on your waist in the picture, his expression unreadable even then. Yours, a picture perfect couple built on family expectations and carefully stitched lies, an arranged marriage. You whispered bitterly to yourself, that's all it ever was supposed to be. Two families, one alliance. But that one night, the night when everything changed, it wasn't supposed to happen. You had been fragile, and he had been human for once. You remembered the warmth of his touch, the trembling in his voice, the way he held you as if afraid you would disappear. And then the next morning everything shattered. The sunlight that fell across the bed was you had turned toward him, your heart fragile but hopeful, only for him to whisper, I'm sorry. Sorry because he had been. Sorry because he hadn't meant to cross the line. Your head smiled, numb, wordless, while your heart cracked in silence. But he didn't deny his responsibilities. 9 months later, you gave birth to your daughter. For your safety, he had said. But to you, it felt like he had closed the door between your hearts forever. You blinked up at the ceiling now, your throat tightening. Since then, you both existed not as husband and wife, but as two strangers under the same roof, bound by one small heartbeat, your daughter Lily. Lily, who had his eyes, his stubbornness, and his temper. The reason to breathe, the only living proof that somewhere once upon a time love had almost happened. You didn't realize when your tears turned into sleep. Jaguk settled Lily with a snack and tried to coax a smile from her. A part of him couldn't stop thinking about the distance you were creating and how badly he wanted to press it. Jungkook stood by the window, arms crossed, staring at the city outside. He made sure Lily ate. He coaxed her into a nap, and yet it wasn't enough. His voice was barely audible, almost a whisper to himself. I hate this, being ignored like this. She has never done this before, and I. The day stretched on, quite tense, filled with unspoken words and emotions neither of you had intended to confront. He swallowed hard, jaw tight. The truth hit him in a way that pride and power never could. He missed you more than he wanted to admit, and the thought that you had spent the entire day away from him, even for your own reasons, was eating him alive. The pillow beneath your cheek was damp, the air faintly cold, the last light of the day had slipped away without you noticing, and when you finally stared, it was already 7 in the evening. You sat up slowly, brushing a stray tears that had dried on your cheeks. The mirror across the room cast a reflection, tired but steadier than before. You would be, for them, ready to sacrifice everything if it meant keeping them safe, keeping them happy. But Jungkook had taken that love for granted, and now your daughter, the same girl you had to bring into this world, was beginning to mirror his coldness. That thought scared you more than anything because Lily wouldn't be small forever. She was watching, learning, becoming. And if you didn't change something now, she would grow up like her father, believing silence was love and distance was safety. Just then a knock appeared on the door, gently breaking the silence. Madam, dinner is ready. Mr. John asked if you will join for dinner. You took a deep breath, feeling the ache in your chest settle. Somewhere between heartbreak and quiet acceptance, something inside you had shifted. You were done waiting for him to realize what he had broken. If they want me, they will have to yawn. The words left your lips like a vow, not out of anger but clarity. For once, the silence didn't feel like defeat, it felt like control. You rose, feet pressing the cold floor. With one last glance at the bedding canvas, you turned toward the door, a boundary you were finally ready to cross. This time, not as a wife or as a mother, but as you. You opened the door slowly. The hall was warm and glowing with soft yellow light. Your footsteps echoed softly. The second you stepped in the living area, Jungkook's eyes found yours and held them still. But you walked past him, the faint trace of your perfume brushing his senses like a ghost of the past he once thought he could ignore. Lily's little eyes lit up the moment she saw you. She hopped off her chair, her little feet pattering eagerly across the floor. Mama! You knelt, opening your arms, and she threw herself against you. Her warmth hit your chest like a quiet reminder of why you were still standing after everything. Hey, sweetheart. Lily's small hand clutched your shirt, her big round eyes suddenly watering. Mama, I'm sorry. For what, baby? For shouting, for saying bad words? I didn't mean it. Your throat tightened. She was only 4. She didn't understand the weight of her words yet, but you did. It's okay, sweetheart. Mama knows you didn't mean it. Lily sniffed. Daddy said you do everything for us. I love you. Your heart clenched so tightly it almost hurts. You lifted her into your arms. You kissed her forehead, whispering against her soft skin. Let's eat him. Lily nods eagerly, snuggling in your neck. Jungkook follows silently, guilt tightening his chest. He wants to say something, anything, but the words on his tongue. The staff moved around the kitchen silently, setting the plates down carefully. Jungkook and Lily already sitting at the dining table, waiting for you to sit beside them. But you moved around the counter calmly, rinsing plates, arranging things, not once looking at them. 2 pairs of eyes followed you, one curious, one tense. Mama, she's not looking at us. She whispered, looking at Jungkook, his jaw tightened. She frowned but said nothing. Minutes stretched painfully, then Lily's small, shaky voice broke the silence. Mama, won't you feed me today? You paused, hand frozen on the desk. You inhaled slowly, controlling your voice. I'm busy right now, sweetheart. Eat with Appa. Lily blinked, her little brows frowning in confusion. She wasn't used to this. You always fed her, always. Lily's small voice trembled. But you always feed me. Your smile was soft, gentle, though your heart ached. You wanted to run to her, pick her up in your lap, and feed her like you always did. But you knew that if you did, they would never understand that you have a heart, that you too get hurt. Not today, Lily, you will manage. Lily went quiet, staring down at her plate. She didn't eat again. One of the maids softly moaned. Madam, you sit. We'll do this. It's fine, I will finish this. You shook your head, and the maid went silent. Jungkook's gaze hardened, not in anger but unease. He hated this quiet that didn't need shouting to cut deep. He finally spoke, his voice low. You didn't eat either. You kept your back turned, rinsing another dish that was already clean. I will later. I'm busy. His brows furrowed slightly. Busy? You turned just enough to meet his gaze brightly. Your tone wasn't sharp, wasn't cold. It was worse. Calm, detached. Yes, can't you see, Jungkook? He froze for a second. You weren't snapping like he used to. You were speaking in that quite polite way that made him feel worse, like you had given up trying to be heard. Lily looked between both of you, confused, sensing something wrong, but too young to understand what it was. You turned off the tap, trying your hand slowly. Your reflection in the dark kitchen window looked tired, eyes slightly red, face pale. You walked to Lily, forcing a smile, and leaned to kiss her forehead. Finish your food, sweetheart. Don't waste it, okay? And then come to bed. Mama will tell you your favorite story. Then you walked past them, heading upstairs. You didn't notice Jungkook gaze following you, his brows knitted, lips pressed tightly, and for the first time in years, Jungkook felt what it was like to be on the other side of the wall he built. Lily turned to him, confused and small, eyes already glistening. Appa, Mama is angry with me. He brushed her hair gently. No, baby, she's just tired. But she didn't eat. He paused, his gaze soft and dark, eyes looking towards the stairs, just thinking. Swallowing hard, he set his own plate aside, then picked up a small bite of rice, holding it towards Lily. Open your mouth, princess. Lily blinked up at him, her lashes still wet. For a second she hesitated, but then quietly opened her mouth and chewed. He smiled faintly, not the proud man everyone feared, just a tired father trying to mend what he broke. He fed her slowly, patiently. Halfway through, she yawned wide, rubbing her eyes with her tiny face. He exhaled deeply, pressing a soft kiss on her hair. Let's go to bed, hmm? Lily nodded slowly as he rose carefully, lifting her in his arms. Her head had fallen against his shoulder, her small fingers still clutching the edge of his shirt. As he walked upstairs towards your shared bedroom, his steps quiet but quick, something told him tonight wasn't just another silent night. Your body felt heavier, your skin burned slightly, your head pounding. You sat on the edge of the bed, pressing a hand to your forehead. You knew it wasn't just tiredness. The guilt, the silence, the ache of pretending not to care, it all caught up to you. You lay down, closing your eyes, a single tear slipped down your cheek. Your chest tight. You didn't know when you fell asleep or your body had grown too heavy to move. The door creaked open. The door creaked open. Jungkook stepped in, holding Lily in his arms. He walked quietly to the bed and laid her beside you, tucking in her blanket. When he glanced at your lying figure on the bed, something in him froze. Your face was pale, lips dry, and sweat clutched to your temples. He rushed to your side instantly. Ryan? You didn't respond, just a faint sound left your throat, half a groan, half a whisper. His heartbeat spiked. He touched your forehead and froze. Damn, it's his burning up. Without wasting another second, he grabbed his phone, voice low but fierce. Get Dr. Han and his team here. Within 10 minutes, the John mansion was no longer quiet. The gates opened with a roar as the convoy of cars rolled in. Doctors in white coats rushing through the grand doors, followed by guards, all alarmed. Jungkook ran a hand through his hair, eyes fixed on the doctors, and now checking you, placing thermometers, preparing it. What happened to her? Looks like she didn't eat all day. Her body is weak. It's not just maybe she needs rest and food. We'll monitor her for tonight. Jungkook noted, his jaw tight. When the doctors left, the room grew quiet again. Just the soft beeping of the monitor and the rhythmic sound of your breathing. Why didn't you tell me you weren't okay? He brushed your hair away from your face carefully, his thumb grazing your skin like it might break. You ignored me once, and I nearly lost my mind. What will I do if you? The words faded before he could finish. The thought alone losing you was enough to burn his chest. It wasn't just pain, it was something deeper, raw. Like his heart was finally realizing what his pride had been denying for years. You were asleep, turned slightly to the side, your hand resting close to the tapped to your wrist. Even in sleep, you looked fragile. He sat down in the chair beside your bed, resting his elbows on his knees, staring at your hand until his vision blurred. I don't deserve you, but I can't survive without you either. Finally, Jungkook, the man the world feared, was not of enemies, not of Crimson Dead, but of losing the only person who had ever loved him despite it all. You woke up slowly, feeling the dryness in your throat. The room bathed in faint light spilling in through the curtains. You blinked slowly, the world still a little blurry. When you tried to move, something tugged at your arm. Your gaze dropped. A clear tube ran from your wrist to a hanging bag on the stand beside your bed. You breathed here softly. What happened? Then your gaze fell across the room. On the couch, Jungkook was asleep. His broad frame leaned back awkwardly, one arm wrapped protectively around a tiny figure curled up on his chest. Your daughter, Lily. For a long time, you just watched them. They looked so peaceful, like all the distance, all the cold walls didn't exist in that small pocket of morning. You shifted slightly, trying to sit up, and winced as pain saw through your wrist. You idiot. You didn't know if it was for him or for yourself, maybe both. A soft rustle came from the couch. Jungkook stared, his glasses fluttering open. He blinked once, disoriented, until his tired eyes met yours. You quickly looked away, pretending to adjust the blanket. Don't move. You froze, his deep voice still rough from sleep, but not cold, more like someone holding back too many emotions at once. He sat up slowly, carefully laying Lily on the couch, tucking the blanket around her before walking to your bedside. He avoided your eyes, checking the line. His fingers pressed yours, just gently. You saw his fingers trembling slightly. Why am I connected to this? You hummed quietly, eyes still not meeting his. You had a fever, a bad one. Doctor said you were dehydrated. You looked up at him, searching his face. You didn't have to call doctors at midnight. I would have been fine. He exhaled through his nose, a mix of irritation and worry. You weren't fine. Silence filled the room, thick, tired, years worth of pain unspoken. You finally looked at him, eyes glossy but steady. You shouldn't care this much, Jungkook, after I'm just useless to you. Even my daughter thinks same now. He froze, lips parted, but nothing came. For a moment he looked away, biting his lips until it. Then he smiled painfully through the tears forming in his eyes. It's all my fault. This marriage, that night, everything that followed. But I warned you, didn't I? That this wedding was nothing but a golden case. But you still fell for me. Tears rolled down your cheeks, your voice shaking as you whispered, if you wanted to end this, Jungkook, you could have just let me that night. He flinched like you had him. The words hung in the air, honest, sharp enough to both of you. Then slowly his eyes moved to the small figure sleeping on the couch. He pointed weakly at her, his voice trembling. And what would I have told her? He dropped his knees beside the bed, his tears falling freely now, his voice breaking completely. What would I tell her when she asked how I, her mother, the woman who did nothing wrong except one thing, marrying her father? His hand hit the floor once hard, then again a soft, helpless thumb that broke your heart. Your aunt here spilling uncontrollably. You wanted to reach out but also wanted to listen all his without interrupting. You know, Ryan, I ruin everything I touch. You, her, even myself. Do you know what my first mistake was? You stared, unsure what he meant, but he didn't wait for an answer. His voice rose, not in anger, but in pain that had been buried too long. All I did was love a woman with everything I had, but she cheated on me with my best friend. Your eyes widened slightly, realizing he was talking about his past. You swallowed hard, your chest tightening. He had never talked about this before. He gave a dry laugh, shaking his head as if mocking himself. And the irony, I forgave her because love can't be, right? I accepted that I wasn't someone she wanted for whole life. He looked away, a hollow smile coasting over his lips. And then what did my parents do? They thought they could fix me by pushing me into a marriage. Just a week later, I was married to a woman I had never ever seen before. And what did I do? His eyes flicked to you, then down again, guilt dripping from every word. Without a moment to think what she wanted, I made her to give me a daughter. So beautiful, so innocent one. I don't even deserve. Your lips parted, but no words came. The way his voice cracked made your heart ache. He wiped his face roughly with his back of his hand, but tears kept coming. Still, I never thanked you. Not once. I stayed distant, cold, always hurting you, over and over again. He lifted his eyes toward you, his voice trembling. And now, my daughter did the same to her mother. What I have been doing all along. He bowed his head against the bed, shoulder trembling. You reached out, brushing your fingers through his hair gently. For the first time, he didn't pull away. Jungkook, I didn't know how to love without hurting, and now I'm scared. It's too late. His chest tightened, tears pooling again. With a deep breath, you whispered, what if I say it's not too late? He looked up sharply, his dark eyes wide and disbelief written across every line of his face. You are mocking me. No, I'm serious. He blinked at you as if trying to read a lie where there was none. His chest heaved with every shaky breath. The ache in your heart wasn't anger anymore. It was the faint, fragile hope for whatever going to happen. I know you were in love with someone else. You knew. Jungkook's eyes widened. He breathed out disbelief, flashing his voice as if it wasn't already written in every cold silence, every distant glance. Every night he turned away, swallowing hard. You nodded softly. Yes, your mother told me after our wedding. She said I was the first person she had ever seen you bring home. The way you never belonged before, that maybe I could bring back the smile she always wanted to see. Not the ruler, but her son. And I tried, Jungkook. I swear I did. I know you don't have to prove it. People might call me foolish for staying, but I stayed because I saw who you were beyond the walls. The man who checked on me to see if I was asleep, who never ran away even when he wanted to, who was sorry for things he couldn't say, the man who helped me survive even when he didn't believe he deserved to. His lips trembled as he closed his eyes for a moment, then he muttered, barely audible, I never knew. I never thought anyone could understand me like that. You squeeze his hand gently, pulling him to sit on the edge of the bed. You let your voice carry softness, but with a weight only he could feel. Let me ask you, forget about loving me. Tell me honestly, did you ever feel that I made even a small changing in your heart, that you could start over, leave your past behind? He looked at you completely undone. For a moment you thought he might not answer. Then, barely breathing, he whispered, as if trying to burn the truth in your mind. I realized I got a diamond, but I was too blind to know how to keep it. He let out a small, shaky laugh through your tears. Then maybe it's time you learn that even diamonds need polishing and maintenance to keep shining. He stared at you, his chest rising fast, then he laughed, the sound breaking halfway, equal parts pain and relief. Then, unable to stop himself, he pulled you into a hug so tight it nearly slammed you against his chest. The hug was desperate, trembling as if holding on for dear life. You winced when he tugged at your wrist. Jungkook, my hand. He immediately loosened his hold, panic flashing in his eyes as he checked your wrist. Are you okay? Did it hurt? You smiled weakly, shaking your head just a little. He exhaled sickly, pressing his thumb against your cheek. I almost you once. I won't survive it again. You looked up at him, the man who had once, knowingly or unknowingly, you whispered, I know, though it took scolding from my daughter and almost paying to finally say it. I got my husband back. But don't think it's over, Jungkook. You will have to earn my love and trust me. I won't make it easy for you. He let out a shaky chuckle, forehead resting against yours, tears still clinging to his lashes. I wouldn't want it easy. Not this time. Just then Lily shifted in her sleep, mumbling sleepily. Her eyes snapped instantly in her direction. Jungkook noticed too. Without a word, he got up from the floor and walked to the couch carefully. He scooped the little girl into his arms. She stirred slightly, her small hands clutching his shirt as he cooed softly. It's okay, princess. Mama is right here. He carried her toward the bed, his every step quiet and cautious. You watched him with tired but tender eyes. Your heart tightened at the sight. The man who didn't know how to love you but always held her like she is his fault. When he reached you, Jungkook leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. She was awake all night, staring at you. He reached out and he carefully transferred her into your arms, making sure the line wasn't pulled. I'm here, baby. She stared, then blinked up at you with crossy eyes. The moment she recognized your face, awake, her lips trembled. She wrapped her tiny arms around your neck, hugging you tightly. Mama, I thought you will go away like in stories. Your heart clenched. You hugged her close, stroking her hair, pressing kisses. He whispered softly, Mama's not going anywhere, sweetheart. Ever? She sniffled and nodded, her face still buried against your shoulder. Jungkook stood beside you, watching his hand instinctively resting on Lily's back to steady her. His gaze lingered on both of you with quiet reverence. For a long, fragile moment, it was just the three of you. The storm that had once torn your lives apart seemed distant now, replaced by something gentler, warmer. Lily's breathing slowed again, drifting back into sleep in your arms. You adjusted her slightly, smiling through your tears. You glanced up at Jungkook, who was still watching you silently. The faint morning light painted his features in gold, tired eyes, soft smile, and that hint of disbelief that you were still here. You see, Mr. John, some diamonds just need the right hand to shine again. He let out a quiet laugh, shaking his head as his eyes shimmered. Then I will spend the rest of my life learning how to hold mine right. He leaned down, pressing a feather-light kiss on Lily's forehead, then another on yours, tender, hesitant, but filled with promise you could finally feel. And for the first time in a long time, the Geon Mansion didn't feel cold anymore.